In a bright, bustling lab on Earth, scientists were busy working on a project that could change everything. The lab was filled with screens showing complex designs, glowing charts, and excited voices. Dr. Maya Patel, a leading scientist, had just made a groundbreaking discovery. While examining old blueprints in a dusty archive, she found the plans for a massive orbital ring. It was a secret technology left behind by an ancient civilization. The orbital ring was designed to protect Earth from outside threats. Dr. Patel felt a rush of excitement as she studied the plans. "This could be our key to survival," she whispered to her colleague, Raj. He looked at the designs with wide eyes. "If we can build this, we could defend against any invaders." The team gathered in the conference room to discuss the implications. The mood was electric as they reviewed the blueprints. Each person could feel the weight of the world on their shoulders. They knew that the orbital ring could create a shield around Earth, stopping any hostile forces. As they debated the risks and rewards, no one noticed the dark shadows gathering in space above them. Meanwhile, light years away, an alien race known as the Kreth watched Earth through their advanced telescopes. The Kreth were notorious for invading planets and stripping them of resources. Their leader, Commander Vrak, was cold and calculating. He was determined to conquer Earth and show his strength to the other factions in the galaxy. "What do we know about this planet?" Vrak demanded, staring at the images of Earth flickering on the screen. His officers, who were covered in dark scales and had glowing red eyes, quickly answered, "It is weak, Commander. They have no real defenses. We can take them easily." Vrak smiled, feeling powerful. He ordered his fleet to prepare for invasion, believing that the humans would be no match for their advanced technology. Little did he know, the humans were about to discover their greatest weapon. Back on Earth, Dr. Patel and her team were ready to start building the orbital ring. They had gathered the necessary materials and even recruited the best engineers. Everyone was hopeful that the activation would bring a new era of safety and security. On the day of the activation, the excitement in the lab was overwhelming. People from all over the world were watching live streams of the event. Children, families, and world leaders were tuned in, waiting to see the orbital ring light up the sky. Dr. Patel stood before the crowd, her heart racing with anticipation. She spoke confidently. "Today, we take a giant leap for humanity. Together, we will activate the orbital ring and ensure our safety." As she pressed the button, the ground shook, and a brilliant light shot up into the sky. The orbital ring began to glow, creating a protective barrier around the planet. Everyone cheered as the light spread across the horizon. However, deep in space, the Kreth fleet detected the sudden surge of energy. Commander Vrak's eyes narrowed as alarms blared on his ship. "What is happening? Why is their technology activating?" His officers scrambled to analyze the data. "It appears they are activating some sort of defensive mechanism, Commander. They may not be as weak as we thought." Panic began to spread among the Kreth. They had underestimated Earth, and now they were facing an unknown threat. Vrak's mind raced as he tried to devise a new plan. Should they attack now or wait to gather more information? As he weighed his options, the orbital ring continued to power up, sending waves of energy pulsing into space. Back on Earth, the scientists were unaware of the danger looming above them. They celebrated their achievement, feeling a sense of unity and purpose. Little did they know that their invention would soon be put to the test. As the last of the activation completed, the team could not shake off a strange feeling that something was watching them. The hidden secret of the orbital ring was now unleashed, setting the stage for a battle that would change the fate of Earth forever. With the Kreth on the move, the tension in the air thickened, and the excitement of the scientists would soon turn into fear. What had started as a day of celebration was about to become a fight for survival. The sun rose on a clear morning, brightening the skies above Earth. Excitement buzzed in the air as people prepared for the big day. The orbital ring was finally ready for activation, and the whole world was watching. In the bustling city of New Eden, thousands of people gathered in a grand plaza. Large screens displayed images of the scientists at the lab, and cheers echoed as the moment approached. Dr. Maya Patel stood in front of the crowd, her heart racing with anticipation. Dressed in her lab coat, she looked confident but also a little nervous. This was not just a scientific achievement, it was a chance to protect their home. She stepped up to the microphone and the crowd fell silent. "Ladies and gentlemen, today we make history," she announced, her voice filled with passion. With the activation of the orbital ring, we will create a shield around our planet. This technology will ensure our safety from any threats. The crowd erupted into applause, and families hugged each other in joy. Cameras flashed as news reporters captured the moment. Everyone believed this was a new beginning for humanity. But somewhere in space, the Kreth were watching, their dark ships hovering above. Commander Vrak paced nervously on his flagship, the Krethor. The screen in front of him showed a live feed of the event on Earth. "They are foolish to think they can defend themselves," he muttered, trying to calm his racing thoughts. His officers stood by ready for orders. "Commander, their energy readings are rising," one officer reported, pointing at the screen. "They are activating the ring now." Back on Earth, Dr. Patel pressed the activation button, her fingers trembling with excitement. A low hum filled the air, and the ground shook slightly as the orbital ring powered up. Lights flashed, illuminating the sky in a stunning display of colors. The crowd gasped, mesmerized by the sight. As the energy from the ring spread, a powerful beam shot into space, creating a brilliant aura. The crowd erupted in cheers, waving flags and chanting, "Earth! Earth! Earth!" For a moment, everything felt perfect. They were ready to defend their world. But just then, the atmosphere changed. A sudden chill swept through the crowd as dark clouds began to gather in the sky. People looked up, confusion and fear spreading across their faces. Dr. Patel frowned, sensing something was wrong. "What is happening?" she whispered to Raj, who stood beside her. Before he could answer, a loud roar echoed through the air. Alien ships, sleek and menacing, broke through the clouds. Their dark hulls glinted ominously in the light of the orbital ring. Panic surged among the crowd as they realized the truth. The Kreth had come to invade. Commander Vrak watched from his ship, a triumphant grin spreading across his face. "Prepare for attack!" he shouted, feeling confident. He believed Earth would be no match for his advanced forces. The Kreth had faced weaker planets before. This would be no different. As the alien ships descended, Dr. Patel quickly shouted into the microphone, "Everyone, please evacuate! Get to safety!" The crowd began to scatter, but chaos erupted. People pushed and shoved, trying to find the nearest exit. In the lab, scientists scrambled to activate the orbital ring's defense systems. "We need to do this now!" Raj yelled, his fingers flying over the control panel. Alarms blared as they prepared to engage the ring's powerful energy. "Hold on!" Dr. Patel urged, trying to keep everyone focused. "If we can harness the ring's power, we can fight back." The energy from the orbital ring surged as it detected the threat from space. A protective barrier began to form around the planet, glowing brighter with each passing second. The alien ships opened fire, unleashing a torrent of energy blasts towards Earth. But the orbital ring absorbed the attack, its shield holding strong. As the battle began, Dr. Patel watched in awe and fear. The fate of Earth hung in the balance. The activation of the orbital ring had awakened a dormant force, and now it was time to see if humanity could stand against the Kreth. With the shield in place, hope flickered in her heart. "We can do this," she whispered, determination shining in her eyes. The crowd was in panic, but deep inside, she knew they were not defenseless. The battle for Earth had begun, and the activation of the orbital ring would change everything. The air crackled with tension as the alien ships hovered above Earth, casting long shadows over the panicking crowd. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the command center, her heart racing as she watched the chaotic scene unfold on the screens before her. The orbital ring glowed brightly, its protective shield shimmering around the planet, but the Kreth were not backing down. "Commander, their defenses are stronger than we expected," an officer shouted on the Krethor. Commander Vrak clenched his fists in frustration. "They should be weak. How can they fight back?" His pride was wounded. He had underestimated the humans, and now it seemed they had more power than he anticipated. As the Kreth ships regrouped, the sounds of alarms filled the air. Vrak paced back and forth, making quick decisions. "Prepare to fire again! We will break through their defenses!" He wanted to show his strength and crush the human spirit. The Kreth believed they were invincible, and he was determined to prove it. On Earth, the scientists scrambled to stabilize the orbital ring's energy. Dr. Patel and her team worked frantically, their fingers flying over keyboards. "We need to amplify the shield's power," Raj shouted, his voice tense. "If we can redirect the energy from the ring, we might be able to push them back." Dr. Patel nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. "Do it! We have to hold them off while we figure out our next move." With renewed focus, the team began rerouting energy through the orbital ring, hoping to strengthen their defenses against the incoming attacks. Suddenly, a blinding flash lit up the sky as the Kreth opened fire once more. Energy blasts shot towards the shield, colliding with a loud boom. The impact shook the ground, and the crowd below gasped in fear. "Keep the shield up!" Dr. Patel yelled, watching the energy levels on her screen. The orbital ring absorbed the blasts, but the Kreth were relentless. They fired again and again, trying to find a weakness in the shield. Dr. Patel felt a chill of dread as she realized their attacks were beginning to chip away at the energy barrier. "We can't hold out forever," she thought, panic rising in her chest. Above the chaos, Commander Vrak watched the energy readings on his ship with a smug grin. "Their shield is weakening. Now is our chance." He ordered his fleet to concentrate their fire, aiming for the weak spots in the orbital ring's defenses. The Kreth ships began to close in, preparing for a full-scale assault. Back on Earth, the situation was growing desperate. Dr. Patel and her team were working against the clock. "We need to find a way to counterattack," she urged her colleagues. "If we can target their ships, we might be able to turn the tide." Raj nodded, his face set in determination. "I can reprogram the orbital ring's energy to fire at the Kreth ships. It might be risky, but it's our best shot." "Do it!" Dr. Patel replied, feeling a surge of hope. "We have to fight back." With renewed energy, the scientists worked quickly to modify the orbital ring systems. As they rushed to make the changes, the Kreth began their final assault, launching a series of powerful blasts at the shield. The air filled with explosions and bright flashes of light. The ground shook beneath them as the Kreth's attacks grew stronger. "They're getting closer!" Raj shouted, sweat beading on his forehead. "We have to hurry." Just then, the orbital ring glowed even brighter. Dr. Patel could feel the energy pulsing around her. "It's working! We're ready!" she exclaimed, a spark of excitement in her voice. "Now, aim at their ships," she commanded. With a swift motion, Raj initiated the attack sequence. The orbital ring unleashed a surge of energy, targeting the closest Kreth ships. A powerful beam shot forth, striking one of the alien vessels directly. The explosion lit up the sky, and the crowd gasped in awe and horror. "We did it!" Raj shouted, his eyes wide with disbelief. But the battle was far from over. The remaining Kreth ships regrouped, furious at the unexpected attack. Commander Vrak's face turned red with anger. "Retaliate! Show them what true power looks like!" he bellowed as his ships prepared to fire back. The war for Earth was just beginning, and both sides were determined to win. As the two forces clashed in the skies above, Dr. Patel and her team fought to keep the orbital ring operational. The fate of their world rested on their shoulders. With every blast exchanged and every ship destroyed, the tension grew and the realization hit. This battle would define humanity's future. The battle raged in the skies above Earth, and the world watched in awe and terror. Bright flashes of energy lit up the heavens as the Kreth ships and the orbital ring exchanged blows. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the command center, her heart pounding as she monitored the chaos unfolding on the screens. The fate of humanity rested on a knife's edge. "Commander, the orbital ring is holding but barely," Raj shouted, his voice strained with urgency. The energy readings were fluctuating, and the Kreth were not giving up. They had lost one ship, but their numbers were still overwhelming. Dr. Patel looked around at her team, their faces etched with determination and fear. "We need to stay focused," she urged. "If we can hold the ring, we can keep them at bay long enough to come up with a plan." She hoped her words would inspire confidence, but deep down, she felt the weight of the moment. Outside, the sky was filled with chaos. Kreth ships zipped through the air, firing their deadly energy blasts toward the orbital ring. Each explosion shook the ground, and the sounds of destruction echoed in the distance. People in New Eden stared up in fear, unable to comprehend the scale of the battle above them. Mothers held their children tightly, and men shielded their families from the chaos. Commander Vrak watched from the Krethor, his eyes blazing with fury. "They dare to fight back," he growled, his jaw clenched. The loss of his ship had ignited a fire in him, and he was determined to make the humans pay. "We will not lose to these creatures." Vrak issued orders to his fleet, and the Kreth ships formed a tighter formation, preparing for a coordinated attack. They aimed their weapons at the orbital ring, intent on breaking through its defenses. "Prepare for a full assault!" Vrak shouted, his voice echoing in the command chamber. Back on Earth, Dr. Patel sensed the shift in the battle. "They're regrouping," she exclaimed, pointing at the screens. "We have to increase our energy output. We cannot let them penetrate the shield." The tension in the command center grew thick as everyone worked quickly to reroute more power to the orbital ring. Suddenly, a loud alarm blared, and the room filled with red lights. "Warning! Shield integrity failing," a voice announced. The room fell silent, and all eyes turned to Dr. Patel, who felt a surge of panic. "What happened?" she asked, her voice steady despite her fear. "One of the Kreth ships hit a weak spot in the shield," Raj replied, sweat glistening on his forehead. "If we don't stabilize it, they'll break through." Dr. Patel took a deep breath, fighting against the rising fear. "We can fix this. Redirect energy from the secondary systems." She could feel the weight of the moment pressing down on her. They had to act quickly, or everything would be lost. Meanwhile, the Kreth launched their attack. Energy blasts flew from the ships, striking the orbital ring. The shield shimmered under the pressure, crackling with energy. For every blast that hit, the ring seemed to weaken just a little more. "Hold on!" Dr. Patel shouted as the ground shook beneath them. The orbital ring flickered, and she could see the energy levels dropping. "Redirect everything we have! We can't let them in!" As her team scrambled to follow her orders, the situation outside worsened. A massive Kreth ship, larger than the others, broke away from the formation. It positioned itself directly above the orbital ring, aiming its main weapon for a devastating strike. Dr. Patel's heart raced as she watched the ship prepare to fire. "This is it! We have to hold on!" she shouted, desperation creeping into her voice. The Kreth ship unleashed a colossal beam of energy, and the impact shook the entire command center. The shield flickered, the energy levels plummeting. The crowd below screamed in terror as they witnessed the destruction in the sky. In a last-ditch effort, Dr. Patel raised her hand. "Now! Fire the orbital ring's energy!" she commanded. The scientists pressed buttons frantically, and a brilliant beam shot forth from the orbital ring, striking the Kreth ship just as it fired. The two forces collided in a brilliant explosion, lighting up the sky with an awe-inspiring display of power. The shockwave reverberated through the air, and for a moment, time seemed to stand still. Dr. Patel shielded her eyes from the brightness, heart pounding in her chest. They had fought back, but the battle was far from over. As the dust settled, she could see the Kreth ship had been damaged, but they were still coming. The fear in the sky was palpable. The battle had begun in earnest, and humanity had to find a way to stand against the tide of fear and destruction. Dr. Patel steeled herself, determined to fight for the future of Earth. She knew they would have to be brave, for their survival depended on it. The battle raged on above Earth, but amid the chaos, a flicker of hope began to emerge. Dr. Maya Patel stood in the command center, her heart racing as she reviewed the damage reports. The orbital ring had held, but it was clear that the Kreth were not going to back down. They had sustained losses, but they remained determined to conquer Earth. "Status report!" Dr. Patel demanded, her voice steady despite the tension in the room. Raj glanced at the monitors, his brow furrowed with concern. "The orbital ring is stable for now, but we've lost some power. We need to recharge before they attack again," he replied. The room was filled with tension as the scientists worked to stabilize the energy output. Dr. Patel took a deep breath. "We have to come up with a plan. If we can't hold them off for long, we need to think of a way to strike back." Her mind raced as she considered their options. They had already modified the orbital ring, but now they needed to go further. Just then, an alert blared, and a new message appeared on the screen. "Incoming transmission from the Resistance!" An officer shouted, eyes wide with surprise. "Put it on!" Dr. Patel commanded, her heart leaping at the possibility of new allies. A holographic image flickered to life in the center of the command room, revealing a group of weary yet determined faces. One figure stepped forward, a tall man with a commanding presence. "I am General Marcus Stone, leader of the Earth Resistance," he announced, his voice firm. Dr. Patel felt a rush of relief. "General Stone! We could use your help. The Kreth are attacking in full force. Do you have any reinforcements?" "We do," General Stone replied, his eyes shining with determination. "Our forces have been gathering in the outskirts of New Eden. We've been waiting for the right moment to strike. We want to assist in defending the orbital ring and fight back against the Kreth." Dr. Patel's mind raced with possibilities. "If we can coordinate our efforts, we can launch a counteroffensive. We can take the fight to them. General Stone nodded. Agreed. We need to hit them hard and fast while they're still regrouping. If we can create a diversion, we might be able to catch them off guard. As the two leaders strategized, the atmosphere in the command center began to shift. Hope filled the room, fueling their determination. They were no longer alone in the fight against the Kreth. Together, they could make a difference. Meanwhile, the Kreth were regrouping, still seething from the damage inflicted by the orbital ring. Commander Vrak glared at the images of the humans on his screens. They think they can fight back? We will crush them, he roared, his anger boiling over. Prepare for another assault. We will show them the true meaning of fear. The Kreth ships moved into position, ready to unleash their firepower once more. But on Earth, Dr. Patel and General Stone were already formulating their plan. We need to create a distraction, Dr. Patel explained. If we can draw their attention away from the orbital ring, we can strike at their command ship. We can send a small team of fighters to engage them directly, General Stone suggested. While they're focused on that, we can launch an attack from the ground. As they finalized their plan, a new sense of urgency filled the command center. The humans were ready to fight, but they needed to move quickly. Every second counted. Gather all available forces, Dr. Patel ordered. We're going to need every ship, every soldier, and every bit of firepower we can muster. Her heart swelled with pride as she saw the determination in her team's eyes. With a plan in motion, the resistance fighters quickly assembled, and their ships took to the skies. Dr. Patel and General Stone coordinated their efforts, setting the stage for a fierce battle against the Kreth. As the resistance fighters engaged the Kreth ships in the sky, the tension reached a boiling point. Bright beams of energy shot through the air, colliding in an explosive display of power. Dr. Patel watched from the command center, heart pounding as she saw the two forces clash. Now is our chance, she shouted, rallying her team. We need to support our fighters with the orbital ring. They redirected energy from the ring, aiming for the Kreth ships that had become distracted. The orbital ring unleashed its energy beams, striking the Kreth vessels and creating chaos in their ranks. The aliens were taken by surprise, their formations breaking apart as the humans launched their counteroffensive. The tide of battle began to turn. Dr. Patel felt a surge of hope as she watched the resistance push forward. The humans were fighting with courage and determination, proving they would not be conquered without a fight. In the chaos of battle, General Stone's voice rang clear over the comms. Stay strong. We can do this together. Earth is our home, and we will protect it. As the battle raged on, Dr. Patel knew that this was only the beginning. They had found new hope in their darkest hour, and together they would stand against the Kreth. With bravery in their hearts, the humans prepared to fight for their future, ready to reclaim their world from the clutches of fear.